Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World episode 204. I'm your host John Jordan. Don't forget to check out my daily email about blockchain gaming. You can find that at gamestx.substack.com. In today's episode, I'm talking to JC Kim. So JC was last on the podcast in February 2024 when we were talking about his game Nine Chronicles, which is still being operated by his company Planetarium. But the reason for the interview this year is that JC has a new job as co-CEO of Delabs, again, another South Korean blockchain game developer. And the reason for the new job is that at Planetarium, he'd been working on a genAI game creation platform called Verse8, which you can find at verse8.io. And as well as being a sort of generative AI game making project that we've sort of seen quite a lot of, there's obviously blockchain in there, so you can sort of create tokens, use NFTs, that sort of thing. And also it's quite sophisticated in terms of the way it has sort of multiplayer built in there as well. So while for Verse 8, anyone can come and mess around with that and make games and remix other people's games. We've seen quite a few platforms like that. The real focus, JC thinks in the long term, is being able to work with professional developers or a high level of developer and speed up their process of creating games. So that's sort of where the link with Delabs has come in. So Delabs has been making a whole bunch of blockchain games, most recently some of their stuff on Telegram. So the two of those things are going to be combined, and at the end of 2025 towards 2026, we'll start to see some of those sort of games that have been made and published by Delabs using the Verse8 platform coming out. So that's what we're talking about the rise of generative AI game creation platforms and how that links into blockchain and those sort of blockchain elements. And I think, clearly an important thing for the future. So well worth getting ahead of. I hope you enjoy the podcast and on with the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Very pleased for the second time. I have JC Kim. How's it going?
Great. How's it going?
Yeah, good to have you back. So we were just working out. You were previously on episode 156 in February 2024, and then we were talking about Planetarium and Nine Chronicles and that sort of stuff. But you're still CEO of Planetarium, but you have a new job now as well, aren't you? So that's so we're talking mainly about your new job. So you are now. It's quite interesting, to be a co-CEO. We'll maybe dig into that a little bit, but now you are the co-CEO of Delabs, another South Korean games company, and in particular you're focusing on the AI side of things. So maybe can you talk a little bit about sort of how that came about and what it means to be a co-CEO of a company? Not so many of them.
So over 10 years ago, James Kwon, the founder and CEO of Delabs and Force 3, he was a mentor of me, and so
Okay.
he teaches a lot about startup business and gaming business to me. So when I was a early 20, I was a founder of one startup company in South Korea, and he teaches a lot. And after I made a first web3 game named Nine Chronicles, as I shared before. So I can share something to him several years ago. So we have a great talk. We have been talk each other about so many things about gaming and web3. The other new types of startup business together, and right. So recently he recast working as a co-CEO of Delabs to bring the new technology to DLS power, so to make a great synergy. So that's why I joined as a co-CEO of Delabs. A few weeks ago.
But you're still CEO of Planetarium, the company you started as well. So you sort of have two roles now.
Yeah. But so mostly I'm focusing on AI gaming stuff right now, and so Delabs is one of the biggest dev team that I'm working with, and they will use leverage Verse8 Verse8 as our new AI gaming platform to make the great mid-core game using their IP relationships. So that's why that's why I'm focusing on the one thing, but running two company
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and at once. So Planetarium we're focused on mainly for the tech part, and the Delabs we focus on the new types of gaming part.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned it a few times already. So you have this AI platform that was announced again a sort of a couple of weeks ago called Verse8, and that's sort of that's the reason you come in as CEO to Delabs, and that's the sort of the AI generative AI game making platform that you've been working on for a while, I think. So can you tell us a little bit about when you started sort of thinking about that, and when you started sort of working on that platform, and how it's gone?
Yeah. So originally it was a game engine for Western game. So
Okay.
we started to develop this game engine so early of last year, and so it's even over 1 year to develop that game engine. But after Claude was out and it's
Mm.
very good at coding, so we tested it out for game coding, and it's really great. So we figured out if so maybe the next customer of this game engine might be LLMs, not human. So there will be very huge agenda for gaming. So we decide to extend its scope from the Web3 game to AI game, end-to-end AI game engine for LLM. So we pivoted this game engine to AI focused, and right now it's over 4 or 5 frontier models is integrated into this game engine to build a one-stop end-to-end game development. So it's not just not only for LLMs, but also it integrates about 2D image generation and background music generation, and also 3D model generation. So this engines work together and combine all of that into one game. So this AI game engine and platforms that solve two things on existing gaming industry. So first one, it solves that game development as a professional game dev cost. So
Mm.
most of the problem that a gaming industry has is that so they cost a lot. they so if we make some hyper casual game, it costs at least about 200 or 300K per game. And if we want to make so same quality of role playing game or mid core games, it costs at least about millions. So for Western game, so if we cost that level of game, we needed to recover that dev cost to make that business sustainable. So that makes some pressure to its token because
Mm.
they want to sell that token to recover their dev costs. That's the one of the typical and very huge part of Web3 gaming game projects faced. So by using AI, they can keep their creativity, and they can reduce the cost by at least one tenth. So
Okay.
some company, so for example, they cost over 100K, so they can make the same game in about 5 to 10K to build a game. Keep the same IP, same quality,
Mm.
and even so they can reduce the timeline to launch the game. So so it can make the very small amount of the dev cost to make the game supported by AI, and this can make they can try more creative approach and focus on their marketing and community building. And second thing, so I love this part is that the reason why I started Web3 gaming is that we can leverage tokens to reward that our fans to leverage their participation. So most of game has its own fan, and they produce something to play more. But so mostly so we can't reward them because we don't know who they are, and even if we want to give them a stock option, it's very hard to do that. So we can invite them as a family of that IP, but by using that the token, so we can we can link together if IP growth makes some significant achievement. So we can share that achievement together. So that's why I started Web3 game project. But the one thing we are facing is that the building part of a game is still very hard, even if it has some significant incentive using token. But by using AI, so every people that can they can make that they are build of IPs based game in minutes or days. So we can make some secondary gaming contents by the community, supported by AI, and also we can incentivize using that IP token to their community. So I feel like it has a great. I found the missing piece of community driven gaming eras. So I think that working with making Verse8 is a part of community. So realizing the community driven gaming, I believe that.
So sort of, if I was to sort of paraphrase what you've been saying, I think it's interesting that sort of one of the problems we've had with blockchain games, with blockchain games in particular, as you said, is a lot of people have sort of been not very experienced about making games, but they've been sort of excited about the making blockchain games, or being excited about sort of trying to make money, and so you've sort of seen these things of people selling tokens ahead of time or NFTs ahead of time because, as you say, they need the money to make the game. Then the game is expensive to make. It maybe takes a year. Maybe some games, you've been working on Nine Chronicles for 5 years or something. So these games take a long time, and I guess that's one of the problems with blockchain games, is because they've had to sort of get this money up front, and obviously a lot of the projects sort of don't work out because the people aren't experienced and never made a game before. That the sort of the community just feels like it's sort of been asked for money all the time and never really gets anything back and never gets a good game. So at the moment we see a lot of these games just running out of money and stopping because as you say, the economics is wrong. Whereas it's interesting where you've been talking about sort of having AI just allows people to make these games very, very quickly, but that actually reduces a lot of the sort of financial pressure that the sort of developers are sort of having to go to the either investors or the community and say, buy these NFTs or do a pre-sale on this token. Or suddenly, if you're making a game, you say for like $10,000, then you sort of don't need. You can let the community sort of find the game and enjoy the game because they like it, rather than asking them for loads of money up front. So you're sort of actually definancializing a lot of the game, which has been one of the big criticisms of blockchain games, is it's all about sort of money and you over financializing stuff. So what you're saying is that this AI platform, Verse8, allows developers to be creative and innovative and sort of come up with sort of some crazy ideas, and they can work out really quickly whether they can find a community or not, and there's no big sort of financial overhead. So it's a sort of a pure system that the community can find the games either they like the characters of, or they like the gameplay, or they just whatever reason. And so you can start to build I think in a more holistic way than these games that cost tens of millions of dollars. But it's interesting that lots of people talk about AI tools, but it's the way you were talking about it is very much like you want to make blockchain games or Web3 games, and you're seeing how sort of AI sort of fixes one of those problems rather than going, oh, there's these new AI things, they're really cool, let's put blockchain in them, which is sort of maybe recreates the financial problem. So you're sort of coming at it from the game way and using AI as a tool to get to where you want to. Yeah. So you've sort of released, I think, a very sort of early sort of demo, and it seemed, I don't know if this is how it works for sort of professional developers, but you know, it looks like it's very text based. So you know, how would a developer sort of interact with Verse8? Would they just sort of write something down, or is there sort of multimodal ways in which they can sort of prompt a game to be created, or how does that work out?
So on Verse8, the developer just prompt something, so like using ChatGPT,
yeah, okay.
And they will create a game for them. Yeah, the failure rate is higher than normal answer of chat, but so success rate, so increasing the success rate is the game engine too, and also if they are professionals, so they can access the core game code or game assets too. So okay. So they mostly recast something to LLM or other genAI product, and they will recast each other to build a game, and one single or single server prompt. But after that, or between that, so they can participate the coding and asset generation together. So for example, if you are an artist, so you can recast the LLM to make a whole game code and several minor assets to be used for this game, and you are drawing that the major main character or main villain to use that for the game. So we can keep their creativity, and he just spend their own time to make the core part of that game, and rest of the part, so LLM will make this. So in this way, so the professionals can make almost the same game when they spend over 100K. And for a non-professional, so they just use 100% prompt-based game.
Yeah. So the idea is there'll be like a professional version, I guess you have to pay a license for, that the professionals can sort of choose where they spend their time and focus on the bit of the game they think stands out. And then for the people like me who can't code and just want to mess around, there'll probably be a free version which is just more cut down, that we can just sort of create sort of fun games and so you have the best of both worlds. Yeah. And one of the sort of interesting things is because you say that you basically have various sort of systems in Verse8, and one of them is you have a whole multiplayer system as well, don't you? So you have there is a whole sort of you can make 3D multiplayer games, which I guess for a lot of AI games we've seen at the moment, it's been like very simple sort of 2D hyper casual games, which are not very interesting for people, but you guys have been showing 3D worlds and things that are of a much greater fidelity. So, I mean, how for your point of view, how much more expensive is that in terms of dealing with sort of genAI token costs and stuff? Because obviously, the more complex you make the game, it's more expensive, presumably, to generate.
Mostly the building. It's not the cost level is not that much. Okay. So we are now seeing that so one game costs over $10 or $20.
Okay.
To use the LLM and genAI, because the one video generation, it costs around so $0.1, and one image generation, it costs 0.02 or 3, or it's even, so we can lower the price if we choose that different open weighted model. So the cost is pretty low. The most expensive thing is that the users or creators' time. So
Okay. Yeah.
that's the expensive, most expensive thing,
Mm.
and we are also providing so game server SDK and server infrastructure for 3D multiplayer game development. So
Mm.
LLM will create a game that integrated into our so game server infrastructure, and so in this type of so multiplayer game, the cost is depends on how many players
Mm.
participate into the game and use the server infrastructure. So, for example, so they have a data transfer cost, and there's a database cost. The cost is way bigger than the LLM
Okay.
and GenAI cost.
Hmm. Yeah. So there's sort of the cost, the LMM cost of generating the game, and then there's obviously the cost of running a game, which doesn't really matter how the game's been generated. You have server costs and all that sort of, that's a sort of standard sort of thing,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
It's
And in
amazing.
terms, and how are you thinking of Verse8 mainly as a sort of your main focus is getting professional developers or sort of people who know the industry to use it and pay for it, or because as you're talking about it, then I can see in my head that some version of it could become like a like a version of Roblox, where basically people sort of log in and then they can play the games other people have created, or they can just make their own games, and which is obviously a very from a sort of marketing perspective is a very different sort of game than a very different sort of business than making like a middleware, for professional developers. I mean, do you know where you sort of sit? Which one do you think is going to be the way you do it?
So we are seeing two part of the persona. So one is that the super professional game
Yeah.
developers, they are strong at some part of game dev, but they are willing to make some creative something using the AI to make the rest of things. So that because I think that the currently the game standard is a very high, so that gamers hate every game right now.
Yeah.
So we need to meet that standard. So there will be some great game developers needed to make their needed to maximize their creativity for some edge. So they need to make some edge to meet that standard. But all part shouldn't be meet that level of edge.
Yeah.
So they make their own edge, and rest of that they just generated by AI. So that's the biggest it's the biggest part of product market fit, and the other part is kids.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they don't know how to code, they don't know how to drawing, how to make music, but they have some very fresh game idea, and they have very huge willingness to build something, because they are very fresh and they want to make some new experience by making something. So they are now looking for so using Unity or using so Roblox, but as so right now, so all of that development infrastructure or development tool has some barrier, because it has decades of history, and there are a lot of legacy to keep it their existing developers. So right now it's not easy to develop something. So in this stage, they will when the kids want to make some new kind of game, so they are definitely choose LLM as a starting point of developing the game. So right now, so lots of non-professionals like kids and some. So for example, some teachers or some grandfathers are now started to make game on Verse8, the beta preview version, to experiment their new uh, game development, and they are excited about that right now. So we are seeing that this kind of part. So exactly, they are part of community. So all of the community members who love that their own IP or game, and they will also try to make their own game using that IP based on the support of AI.
So you're going to address both markets. I think you think are important. I mean, one thing we haven't sort of spoken about really directly is the web3 part of it. So how does that work out? You've sort of spoken a bit about sort of tokens and stuff. And is it the case that sort of every game using Verse8 has to have a token, or is it just some have to? Or how complex can token stuff be there? Can they have NFTs? What's your sort of thinking around that?
So for token side, so we can take the token part very casually. So if we feel like we need tokens to make the game more fun, so they will make a token. But the development cost is pretty low. So they can choose whether a token is good or token will be worth to launch or not. But several years ago, when they started to Web3 game, their motivation is mainly for fundraising. Because they need money to develop their beloved game. So they sell some NFTs to retailers, or they visited the venture capital to raise a fund, and they are selling. Sold their tokens to game token to VC. So it makes game token needed to have some level of value because they sold it. And every buyers expect that some level of valuation because they bought some point of valuation. So definitely they want higher valuation. So that's one of the very bad part of Web3 game, and it's if the game failed or not making a good traction, so the token price should be worse and worse because they are not generating any profit from the game. And so the fact is that not just for Web3 game, so all of the games success rate less than 5%. So it means that 95% of games failed, and they failed to recover their dev cost and marketing cost. But I think so the reason why gaming token sentiment was bad is that basically because of that the dev cost recovery issues. But so we can solve that issues by making a game using AI, and they can launch that the token like a meme coin. So memecoin doesn't cost anything. So they just using some sort of transaction fee to mint a token. So there is no meaningful sell pressure at the first stage of meme coin generation. So we can make the game coin as a meme coin, like meme coin plus contents. So that would be a very different approach for what game token should be.
Yeah, so as you say, I always think that you're always asking for trouble if the developer is selling a token at some sort of price, because immediately everyone anchors that price. That's the anchor price, isn't it? Are we up or down on that? And once it starts going below that, there's nothing you can really do to get it back. Obviously, Bitcoin started out, it wasn't worth anything, and the successful ones tend to be like that, where there's where there isn't any price. It can be any sort of it can always be anything. Okay, and in terms of NFTs and stuff as well, how can you? I mean, obviously you can sort of create NFTs in these games, but do you think these games are going to be sort of sufficiently deep that people would create NFT collections around that or have NFT sort of weapons and stuff, or do you think that's a little bit too
Yeah,
advanced?
they can, and
Yeah,
yeah, it'd be fun
yeah,
because when they decide to mint the game items as an NFT,
mm,
it's much casual and it's free to design
mm.
regardless of their fundraising or investment.
Yeah. Because I guess you could, for teams who sort of know what they're doing, they can sort of create a game, see if they build a community, sort of launch a token as a bit of fun, and then if they're still going well, they can say, we'll make some NFTs, and then you can buy them with the tokens that we've sort of maybe given away or something. So you have a more sort of more holistic way of building up sort of value and building up utility around these things rather than launching, announcing you're going to do a game and selling a token and selling NFTs. The game never comes out or doesn't come out for a year, and then no one cares.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And also NFT founder, existing NFT founders also can make the game for their NFT.
Yeah. So people with existing NFTs can make
Yes.
games around that as well. Okay, so
Yes, yes. So it's very very small amount of investment.
Yeah, that's good. So in terms of, I don't know how much you can say about sort of obviously what Delabs are doing. Obviously, as co-CEO of Delabs, are making a whole bunch of games. They've got various games out at the moment that have been developed sort of traditionally, I suppose, using sort of big teams and stuff. So, can you say anything about how Delabs are using sort of Verse8, and do we expect games from Delabs this year that have used V8, or is it going to be a bit longer?
So Delabs is a group of high quality game developers, and they are very strong at making high quality mid-core games. So what I want to do is that so they will use Verse8 to to make a great mid-core game way faster than before. So for example, so right now even so they are very good, very strong at game development. They will take at least about at least 3 or 6 months of time, and in that time, so the dev cost skyrocket at least about 100k to $1 million level. But we can by using AI, so they can launch a great mid-core game once a month.
Okay.
But the quality and the core part of that game would be same. But we will take the AI will take a rest of the part. So the rest of the edge part. So that kind of way, so we can reduce the cost and launching the more the game the faster timeline. And Delabs has its own tokens, and so we can leverage this to acquire the new users very easily. So the other game mostly as a pre-TGE Web3 game, so they don't have token, and they are having a plan to launch that token. So they are spending more money to acquire users, and after their TGE, so they provide their token to their players, and the tokens will go down because everyone downs that token to a public market. So that makes Web3 games very bad. But I think so. We already have token, and we don't need to spend too much because the game is very good, and so we didn't spend too much money for developing this game. So we are spending, not using that game token too much, but we use our some marketing budget to acquire more users. So, and if we make generate more revenue, so we can use this revenue to buy back the central token. So that can make about positive supply here, and everyone can make some good positive sentiment of the Delabs forwarded game. So that's what we are thinking, that the Delabs game development with AI will be the killer source of what we are doing rather than the other typical Web3 game project.
Mm-hmm. So the Ragnarok game that's just come out, Ragnarok Libra, that wasn't developed using Verse8, was it?
It's pre Verse8.
It's pre one now. So the ones coming out later. Yeah. So there will be ones out this year. But
yeah. But already applied several parts after the last part of polishing. So we use AI to launch to make a better quality of that game. Mm-hmm. And after that, I think the one more game is now ready for abstract mainnet.
Oh yeah.
So next month. So it will use. It's the first game that leverages the AI to the Web3 game.
Okay, that's pretty soon then. Good. And in terms of you said previously that Verse8 is in sort of preview sort of mode at the moment. Is there a timeline when that goes from preview to, I don't know, sort of first release or something? Or
so I will leave that beta preview batch when I feel like the product is good to out.
yeah. But it's still the case. But in terms of the preview version, anyone can go and play around with the preview version at the moment, can't they? So
yeah. Everyone can join the Verse8 and try to use the beta preview version right now.
Cool. Good. Well, we'll put a link in the show notes so people can go and have a do some prompts and see.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I think that's everything for the time being. We didn't get time to do Planetarium, but maybe we'll do that on another podcast when you're not coming in as co-CEO of Delabs. Too many jobs, I think, at the moment. But thanks very much for your time, JC.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Cool. And thanks to you for watching, listening, however you are consuming the podcast. Remember, every episode we're talking to people who are really leveraging all these new technologies and building these sort of fantastic new ways of finding communities and making blockchain games actually work, which we still believe can happen, even though it's been harder than we thought. So do subscribe, don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.